Support for Studio One is provided by Ed Hill at HVAC Incorporated, providing services to commercial, industrial, and residential clients. Plumbing, heating and air, electrical, duct cleaning, building automation, controls, and indoor air quality. HVAC, 423-989-5000 or online at hvacbristol.com. This session is for Saturday, September 20th, 2008. I'm Dave Carter, your host, and Mike Strickland, our studio engineer. And just delighted to have guesting in here today, Darrell Scott, along with his dad, Wayne Scott.
Yeah, good morning, Dave. We're both here.
Yeah. And Wayne, you drove down from Kentucky to be here today. And you're going to be helping Darrell with the songwriting workshop this afternoon, right?
Right.
And the neat thing about this is so oftentimes, we have performers and, of course, occasionally we get somebody of the caliber of Darrell Scott, but you always wonder, how does this happen to somebody? Why you? Why this devotion to music, this love of music, and this talent that's developed? But rarely do we have the opportunity. Well, right here is the reason why. The reason this all happened to Darrell is because of Wayne.
Yeah, that's how I grew up, listening to his songs, him writing songs, or his choice of listening, which was huge because he, as a writer, he knew the good stuff, which was Hank Williams and Johnny Cash, and probably first and second place. So yeah, I grew up to his musical choices.
And you and your four brothers all played music, and at one time with your dad. Y'all had a family band, but Wayne do you spend a lot of time in the clubs and honky-tonks playing these other people's songs, but never your own? Why was that?
I tried it once. It didn't work.
But now, you knew, Darrell, growing up hearing these songs, you thought these songs were Hank Williams tunes and such. You didn't immediately identify them as being written by your father.
Yeah, when I was a kid, if Dad was sitting around the house playing, he'd be playing a Hank Williams song or Johnny Cash song or his own, you know what I mean? And so there's a time, in my childhood where there's a point where I didn't know which was which, in a way, because as a kid, you don't know who wrote these things. You just I've heard them. Because he was influenced by that music, which was great stuff. But it's like he says, we played clubs, but a lot of the clubs are basically the kind of we were doing, were dance clubs, so you keep the people dancing, 5 sets a night, and so to do your own stuff, your own music was not what was expected.
No, you knew what the people came to hear. They wanted to hear the hits, the songs they knew and could dance to and stuff. And
so I think that's what he's referring to, that he tried it once. So he took his songs, his original songs, into a bar that expected dance music, and that was his experiment into original music.
So 2005, you got together with some of your friends and your dad, and you decided that these songs need to be put down now.
Yeah.
And so y'all picked out 13, well, actually 12 of his songs and one cover, I think, Folsom Prison Blues, and produced a wonderful record called This Weary Way. And there's Wayne right on the cover. Don't he look good?
Yeah, I finally had to do that because he had put it all up, decades ago. And if you understand the dichotomy of writing his own original stuff at home, but when it came to playing for a gig and for pay, you're basically doing the top 10 of country music at that time, the 70s or whatever. So finally, I talked him into coming down to the house, and we'd record in the house. So it was a relaxed atmosphere, kind of like this, sitting around, only with, great friends who are great musicians.
Oh, yeah.
And was it a pretty comfortable thing to do, Dad?
It was. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
See Guy Clark singing into Whiskey Eases the Pain and all these great guys that I'd heard. That was up there,
I bet that was a kick. Speaking of that great song, written by Wayne Scott, why don't we play that now? This is you talk about country. This is solid country music. And
yeah. That's all I knew.
When did you write this song?
I'd have to guess. I can describe when I wrote it.
Okay.
The boys were small, and they supposed to go, and they did go to see their mom.
Mm-hmm.
And while they were gone, it was unbearable. I'd been used to so much noise and children and all. So I blotted out the windows. I hung curtains over the windows, made it nighttime in there all the time.
Wow.
So about Sunday morning, which was the day they were going to come back, I pulled a curtain of the quilt back a little bit and peeped outside. It's about the time Mom always took us to Sunday school.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured I'd get an impression to write a gospel song. But just as soon as I took a look out there, this Whiskey Eases the Pain hit my mind, and just as fast as I could push the pen,
no kidding,
down it went.
Wow.
But anyway, I guess meditating on it, and like I'd been in there about 3 days, or since Friday, and I had a lot of moods, but I thought for sure I would pick up on a gospel song.
You would think so.
This is not gospel at all.
Well, it's the gospel to whiskey. Is
That's
what it is.
It ain't love, it ain't money that makes this world turn around. When you hit rock bottom, you may not be on the ground. Let me tell you something in case you're walking with a cane. It ain't love, it ain't money, it's a whiskey that eases the pain. Eve told Adam she had apples for sale. He bought the first one, I bought the last one, with the hell. If you're needing a crutch, don't try to walk with a cane. It ain't love, it ain't money, it's a whiskey that eases the pain. It ain't love, it ain't money that makes this world turn around. When you hit rock bottom, you may not be on the ground. Let me tell you something in case you're walking with the cane. It ain't love, it ain't money, it's a whiskey that eases the pain. I'll drink doubles and chase my troubles away. When you wake up tomorrow, I'll still be living today. If you're needing a crutch, don't try to walk with a cane. It ain't love, it ain't money, it's the whiskey that eases the pain. It ain't love, it ain't money that makes this world turn around. When you hit rock bottom, you may not be on the ground. Let me tell you something in case you're walking with a cane. It ain't love, it ain't money, it's a whiskey that eases the pain. Let me tell you something in case you're walking with a cane.
Squawking and talking and gawking mocking.
It ain't love, it ain't money, it's a whiskey that eases the pain. That was fun.
Oh, that was. That is a great country song. Wayne Scott left Crane's Nest in Knox County, Kentucky, and went up to Michigan to build cars, and then went down to the steel mills down in Indiana, and working to raise his family. And all the while, he's writing songs, country songs that nobody really gets to hear because when he goes out and at night to play the clubs, he's playing the big hits, the songs that everybody wants to hear. And how many songs do you reckon you've written in your life there, Wayne, all told?
I started saving them about 30 years old. I decided I should keep these and not throw them away. But I would say 200 to max.
Wow.
Wasn't in the thousands, but I had to work quite a bit, so I occupied a lot of them at the time.
I'm sure it did. Darrell, what did you learn from your dad about writing songs?
Oh, largely it was, to tell the truth, and about what you were writing about. Let the song be a reflection of yourself, basically. And so, like you said there, on a weekend where the kids aren't around, so he's doing whatever he's doing in the house, if it's, taping up the windows or whatever. So you bring that experience to the song that you're working on. And if you don't, what's the point?
Now, you went to university and you studied poetry at
I did.
University level. Reading probably Keats and, Robert Frost and all the great poets. On a simpler level, how does that, what your father's poetry compared to these others, and all of that became the way you write, became your style of writing?
Yeah, it's the way I put it, it's like anything else. Like for, let's say, guitar players, they're going to be picking from all the stuff they heard. If some guitarist moved them, they're adding it to their style: blues stuff, jazz stuff, swing, whatever. And that's sort of the way I felt it was about the songwriting. I certainly have a huge country background because this is my dad, and this is the music he had around me, and so I have that as a starting point, and then I kind of went out into the singer-songwriter world, and had what to me was an absolute one foot in the poetry or literature style kind of thing, and then another in the songwriting. So that sort of turned my crank when I saw those folks.
Darrell learned to play guitar in his father's band and began writing hits for the likes of Garth Brooks, the Dixie Chicks, Brad Paisley, Sarah Evans, Patti Loveless. You have got to be proud of what little Darrell has done.
I sure am.
Yeah.
I don't recommend my style to anyone. I had to move around a lot to find a broom that fit my hand, and post hole diggers to dig holes with. Where he did the right way. He dropped out and went to school. Didn't drop out. I mean, he dropped off of his music job and stayed there till he graduated. So he knows how to write them, knows how they're supposed to be. So I'm sure he'll make much more than he would have pushing the brooms that I had,
Well, there's something to be learned from a work ethic and seeing somebody work as hard as you did all your life to raise your family and do right by them, and all the while creating art. Darrell, I know you're proud of what your dad did for you guys.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. From the working level, to keeping us all occupied with either work or music as we were growing up as kids. Those were the two things to be doing. And I wasn't too hot on the work portion. I would find ways to get out of it, and I kind of leaned toward the music, even though all my brothers leaned toward music too. But somehow I got out of more work than they did.
Yeah. Did you just spend more time practicing, do you think, or
I was never a practicer.
Really?
I still am not a practicer. I'm a player. I play a lot, and usually I would do it on the spot, like at gigs, because he was the band leader. I could play at age 14 in his band, where no one else on the planet would hire me as lousy as I played at 14.
Electric guitar.
Yeah, I started playing on basically, He was into Johnny Cash, so my first things to learn was Luther Perkins, type stuff,
Oh, yeah.
And so, which is a great basis for guitar playing, too. It's as simple and as elementary as it can get, basically.
Let's play another tune. What do you want to do?
Well, let's see. I thought I would do this thing called My Father's House, which is probably appropriate for this. Dad worked on a house in Nashville, Dad and Linda, his wife, for years and years from California, trying to get a house together there. And they'd make some construction money out in California and then bring it to Nashville and spend it on, wood and windows and things. And they almost got it kind of finished. It was definitely livable, but that's the house that I bought when I moved to Nashville, was this very house. So I wrote this song sort of loosely about the house and growing up with a songwriter dad. So it's called My Father's House. I was born and raised in my father's house, with a can catching rain in the kitchen. Said a good song never comes to those who chase. No, it comes to those who listen. So I'd listen to him. Waking up in the middle of the night, I know he thought we were sleeping. And with an old melody and a guitar in hand, somewhere between dreaming and weeping, he'd sing a walk on the wild side, last a lifetime with me. Well, I grew up quick in my father's house. Mama, she gave him no daughters, just a look in the eye of a woman in need, to be free of a love grown harder. So she hit the road in a Galaxy 4, the one that my daddy had bought her. And she crossed the tracks and never looked back. He was humming this song he had taught her. Sing a walk on the wild side, last a lifetime with me. There was this big black trunk in my father's house, where he kept all the ledgers he'd write in. So I broke into it before I moved out, to see if I could find out a little bit more about him. And there were letters written, never sent to my mom. Thought it's a wonder it never killed him. And there was lines and songs and poetry, damn near as good as Hank Williams. Sing a walk on the wild side, last a lifetime with me. Now I'm making payments on my father's house, and we've patched up the holes in the ceiling. And he's moved out west to live with the best, with a restless heart still healing. Now I got me a wife and I got me some kids, and they're calling me out the back door, saying come out and play, put that guitar away. What you singing that old song for? I sang a walk on the wild side, last a lifetime with me.
What a great song. Nice little tribute to... What do you think of that song, Wayne?
It's true.
He wrote your life there a little bit there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking while he was singing there, his very first album, we visited Ernest Tubb Record Shop. I think 8 years in a row we went to Grand Ole Opry, you know, and Ernest Tubb and all that. Anyway, on the back of that first album, he looks like he's about 4, and he's banging on my guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew then that he was beyond everybody else, you know. They would play, but they were that wild about it. But
Yeah.
I thought of all those things. Going back to his very first, and why I need a good phone girl, you know. So the other boys didn't want to be the phone girl; they wanted to be out working, you know.
Well, sure.
So he was polite and mannerable and thoughtful, and
Yeah, I could answer a phone real well.
Well, it's an important skill. It's an important skill.
Yeah, and
I thought that was a good
yeah.
way for him to not bruise his hands up like the rest of us did.
Well, with manual labor. Yeah, I understand.
But anyway, on that first album, I already knew he's going to be the picker. He couldn't be held back. I mean, he was going.
Well, what he's accomplished. If you could have been there last night at the Paramount Theater in Bristol at Rhythm and Roots and saw the crowd reaction, 780 people packed into that theater, and how they were cheering for your little boy all by himself up there, just him and a bunch of instruments. I mean, going crazy, Wayne.
I've seen that. I believe they'd stay all night if he would.
Oh, they would have. Absolutely. We're going to take a short break. We got Darrell Scott and his father, Wayne Scott, here. What a very special little session we got. And we're going to put more music out there over the airwaves in just a moment. We have to do a little break. Going to tell you about some other shows and mention some of the other acts at Rhythm and Roots going on today, tonight, and tomorrow. Studio One is supported by the Acoustic Coffee House at 415 West Walnut Street in Johnson City, Tennessee, featuring organically grown fair trade coffees and a no-smoking dining atmosphere. Live music presented most every night, as occasional open mic nights as well. Acoustic Coffee House next to the campus wash and dry laundromat, Walnut Street in Johnson City, Tennessee. We'll be right back. Okay, he's going to come back in a second, and then I'm going to do these things.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sounds wonderful.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Good,
Yes,
good.
That'll work.
Well, then I'll have another one ready then.
Cool.
The next spot.
Who are your favorite poets?
Oh, they run. There's my teacher was in college was Philip Levine, and he won the Pulitzer Prize in '95. He's probably my top, but I love Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman.
Can't go wrong with Walt.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a whole lifetime of stuff there.
Yeah, I keep coming back to him. He's a lifetime. Somebody I'm reading, you know, from college to now and next year and 20 years from now.
Good stand by.
Mountain Stage from NPR, National Public Radio.
Saturday evenings at 8 on WETS.
Okay, here's a bit of the concert schedule for Saturday, September 20th, 2008. Tonight at the Acoustic Coffee House in Johnson City, Bob and Ellie and Ethos. In Asheville at the Brewgrass Festival, the Biscuit Burners and Cadillac Sky. In Asheville at the Orange Peel, the Belleville Outfit, the Seldom Seen also will perform. Out at the lake at Sonny's Marina today, this evening, Black Hat will perform. In Johnson City at Halo, the Jones Boys. And at Rhythm and Roots in Bristol, Chatham County Line, Langhorne Slim, Otis Taylor, Scott Miller, the infamous String Dusters, New Familiars, Bombadil, Cephas and Wiggins, Doc Watson, Eileen Jewell, Red Stick Ramblers, Sam Bush, the Hackensaw Boys, and many, many more. Tonight at the Carter Fold in Hilton's, the ETSU Bluegrass Band will play. Tomorrow, Sunday, the 21st, Jack of the Wood in Asheville, the Belleville Outfit. At the Thomas Wolfe Auditorium, David Byrne. In Johnson City tomorrow at the Acoustic Coffee House, Susan Gibson. And tomorrow in Bristol at Rhythm and Roots, more music from the Red Stick Ramblers, the New Familiars, Carolina Chocolate Drops, the Bowmans, the Colemen, Blue Highway, Ralph Stanley and the Clinch Mountain Boys, and many more. Tuesday in Asheville at the Gray Eagle, Bobby Bear Jr. and the Builders and the Butchers. Wednesday in Asheville at the Gray Eagle, the Bowmans, and the Wyos coming back into town. And in Johnson City at the Acoustic Coffee House, I met these guys just playing on the street. They're a trio from Asheville, and they play kind of a rockabilly swing. They're called the Shake 'em Ups, and I love these guys. They'll be at the Coffee House in Johnson City on Wednesday, along with Gypsy Dave and the Stump Jumpers. There you go. That'll scratch the surface of the things going on. There's a lot more. The next show in the Capitol Music Series is Grasstown at Tusculum College, the Annie Hogenberg Fine Arts Center, Saturday, October 4th at 7 p.m. We'll keep you posted on that. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Darrell, for that little musical interlude there.
Absolutely.
Darrell Scott and his father, Wayne Scott, are our guests in this live session on Studio One on 89.5 WETS FM. Darrell, I mean, it's a rare opportunity, as I mentioned before, that you can, right here in the room is, the source of, that Darrell has had so much success with. And Wayne mentioned that he knew from an early age, when the boy was like 3 years old, that he had something special about him. The ability to play a musical instrument and sing a song is one thing. But, there is that undefinable sparkle, charisma, that makes somebody a real star on stage and able to carry an entire audience like I saw last night and people, see frequently, according to you, Wayne. This is not unusual, is it, the way people get excited about Darrell? When was the first time that it suddenly occurred to you that, wow, this boy's got a career going now?
It was way back there at that beginning, but I wondered when he would go after it on his own. I wondered that a long time. But when he did, it was right here in this town, Johnson City, and over in North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
You see those people just sit there and loved him, like I would look at Hank Williams, or something like that.
Yeah, the Down Home was one of my first gigs in terms of doing my own stuff. I mean, I'd played behind other people for decades, but the Down Home was I could count on two fingers, one of the two places I could play that would have me come and do my own thing, and Down Home was right in there as the first.
Now, was this back when you were working with Verlin and Susie? And,
yeah, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Verlin and Susie were the first to bring me to Down Home.
And they brought you in here. There was
that's right.
Y'all did a trio right here in this room.
I have a picture of us back behind the studio here.
Next to the tree that isn't there anymore.
That's right, yeah.
What did you think, and we're going to get into some music, but I want to ask this question. What did you think of the song Not Leaving Harlan Alive?
You'll never leave Harlan alive.
You'll never leave Harlan alive.
That's the anthem of country music. I still cry each time I hear that.
I'm telling you, my family's from up in the coal fields, and it really speaks to that. There's a play in Big Stone Gap called The Trail of the Lonesome Pine, which is all about the guys coming in and buying up the mineral rights and families selling out. And could you do that song right now?
Absolutely, yeah.
This is a great thing, great song.
I'll get ready to cry then.
In the deep, dark hills of eastern Kentucky, that's the place where I trace my bloodline. And it's there I read on a hillside gravestone, said you will never leave Harlan alive. Well, my granddad's dad walked down Cateran's Mountain, and he asked Tilly Helton to be his bride. Said, won't you walk with me out of the mouth of this holler, or we'll never leave Harlan alive. Where the sun comes up about 10 in the morning, and the sun goes down about 3 every day, and you fill your cup with whatever bitter brew you're drinking, and you spend your life just thinking of how to get away. No one ever knew there was coal in them mountains till a man from the northeast arrived. He was waving them $100 bills, and he said, I'll pay you for your minerals. But he never left Harlan alive. Well, Granny, she sold out cheap, and they moved out west of Pineville to a farm where big Richland River winds. Yeah, and I bet they danced them a jig, and they laughed and sang a new song. Who said we'd never leave Harlan alive? But the times got hard and tobacco wasn't selling, and old Granddad knew what he'd do to survive. Well, he went and dug for Harlan coal and sent the money back to Granny, but he never left Harlan alive. Where the sun comes up about 10 in the morning, and the sun goes down about 3 every day. And you fill your cup, go on and fill it up with whatever bitter brew you're drinking, and you spend your life digging coal from the bottom of your grave. In the deep dark hills of eastern Kentucky, that's the place where I trace my bloodline. And it's there I read on a hillside gravestone, said you will never leave Harlan alive.
What do you think, Wayne?
That is a sad one.
But it tells the true story, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's the main thing. In country music, if it's not true, nobody's going to relate, you know.
Did you tell him the story about your forefathers down in the family farm and all of that stuff? And,
oh, yeah. He knew it. We were there almost yearly.
Yeah. Where were you when you wrote that song, which later on, by the way, got recorded by Brad Paisley, Patty Loveless, Kathy Mattea? Where were you when you wrote that song?
Well, I was in my house, this house that I was talking about, the one I got bought from him, from Dad. But it was about a week after I went to Harlan County because, in our family and a lot of families and a lot of American thinking, Harlan County is almost mythologized. It has this, whether it's the union stuff or the hard living or the hard drinking or killing and this and that kind of thing. And in my family, it's the same, maybe even more because we're from there. Mm-hmm. So anyway, there was this one guy in family history, my great-grandfather, who just went away in the stories of family stories. He must have done something bad back in 1905, something that the family could not tolerate, so they basically excommunicated him. And nothing more was said of him. No one knew where he died, lived, remarried, anything. So I went to Harlan County with Dad to look at microfiche and courthouse records to see where did this guy, did he come back here, And and die or remarry or buy land or anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, the research thing never turned up anything at all. The other thing we did was we went to the graveyard area where he was from, thinking, let's, turn over some of those stones and see. Mm-hmm. And that's where the sort of poetic idea of, reading that on a stone, saying you'll never leave Harlan alive. Never, of course, it didn't say that, but that's where sort of us sitting in there, with the chiggers and stuff, trying to turn over stones. Yeah. That's where that kind of came from. And so a week later, it kind of stewed, and that's a lot what happens with songs. You stew on them for a while. They do their subconscious work, so to speak, and then they come out and like they were already written. So basically, I worked on that song about a week after that little research project with him in Harlan County.
Do you carry a pen with you wherever you go like Wayne does? Jot down song ideas? Do you still do that, Wayne?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Oh.
I don't. I should. I spent a few years doing the shoulds.
Yeah.
But no, if a song really wants to come along, it doesn't have to wait for me to have a pen. It'll sit around and stew and do its thing. And if it's supposed to be around, I have this pretty strong faith that it'll be around when I do get a pen.
Let's do another one of your dad's songs, and then let's pick up a couple of tunes from your new project.
What are you going to do, Dad?
I was thinking while we were talking so much about Harlan County there, I wouldn't live in Harlan County.
Uh-huh.
And I think it would fit exactly right here.
Yeah, let's do it.
I always tell the people to hold you fire till I get done. I at least want to get my song out. I so far ain't been shot. But it's not meant as an insult. My whole band used to be, it was Harlan County in California. And anyway, here's, I wouldn't live in Harlan County if you gave me all that coal. I can't, I couldn't. It is worse than a tomb to me. I love visiting it, so anyway, here it is. I wouldn't live in Harlan County if you gave me all that coal. You couldn't give me Harlan County if those hills were made of gold. I left my home in Harlan County, the saddest place I've ever known. I couldn't stand it any longer. Everything I ever loved was gone. We buried Dad in Harlan County. In his last will, God rest his soul, he wanted to be real close to Mama, so we laid him in 6 feet of coal. I couldn't go to Harlan County for 15 years until today. Those memories, Lord, they still haunt me. I must stay on my weary way. couldn't live in Harlan County if you gave me all that coal. You couldn't give me Harlan County if those hills were made of gold.
Wayne Scott, and that's a tune that you'll find on his CD, This Weary Way. And I'll include it on this CD of Wayne's original songs is his son Darrell Scott and Guy Clark, Dirk Powell, Tim O'Brien, Danny Thompson. And it's available on Darrell's website, darrellscott.com, but they'll have copies of this along with Darrell's music this afternoon and tonight. Darrell will play from 9:30 to 10:30 tonight at the State Street stage. That's the big one that has the mural, or not the mural, but the Bristol sign over top of it looking east. And this afternoon about 4 o'clock, Darrell and Wayne both will be participating in a songwriter's workshop. I think that's being held at the Theater Bristol Art Space, which is near the Paramount. And this is an exciting opportunity. Let me go ahead and do a little break right here, and we want to possibly hear one of the tunes from Modern Hymns.
Yeah.
Studio One is supported by Strings, a new musical instrument store located in Bristol, Tennessee. At Strings, you can buy, sell, or trade. Their Bluegrass Room offers new Eastman mandolins, guitars, violin, Gene Gefeller's custom dobros, and experienced banjos across from the Hillbilly Market on West State Street. Strings, 423-652-1234, and on the web at experiencemusicalinstruments.com. Also going on today at Rhythm and Roots is the Luthier Show, which is being held right next to the Paramount in a store space there on State Street. Some of our area's best builders of musical instruments, mandolins, guitars, fiddles, and so forth. Stop by there if you get a chance. It's absolutely free. And we have Darrell Scott in this live session along with his Pop Wayne. And Darrell's new project is Modern Hymns. And here we have one of the best songwriters in America, and he's decided to pay tribute to some of his favorite songwriters. And this is a natural thing to do because
it really is.
And some of the same people that you've loved, I think a lot of people have affection for, namely Paul Simon and Gordon Lightfoot and Guy Clark, Bob Dylan, and Joni Mitchell, Chris Christopherson.
Yeah.
And what do you want to play that's on?
I think I'll do a Paul Simon song from that record. And again, I got to choose, my favorite artists and their songs. I also got to choose the song that I wanted to do of each. And to me, this is my favorite Paul Simon song for sure. Very timely, called American Tune. Many's the time I've been mistaken, and many a time confused. Yes, and I've often felt forsaken, and certainly misused. But I'm alright, I'm just weary to my bones. Still, you don't expect to be bright and bon vivant, so far away from home, so far away from home. And I don't know a soul who's not been battered. I don't have a friend who feels at ease. I don't know a dream that's not been shattered or driven to its knees. But it's alright, It's alright, we can't be forever blessed. Still, when I think of the road we're traveling on, I wonder what's gone wrong. I can't help it, I wonder what's gone wrong. And I dreamed I was dying. I dreamed that my soul rose unexpectedly, and looking back down at me, smiled reassuringly. And I dreamed I was flying, and high up above my eyes could clearly see the Statue of Liberty sailing away to sea. And I dreamed I was flying. Come on a ship they call the Mayflower. We come on a ship that sails the moon. We come in the age's most uncertain hour and sing an American tune. But it's all right, it's all right, 'cause we can't be forever blessed. Still tomorrow's gonna be another working day, and I'm trying to get some rest. That's all. I'm trying to get some rest.
Oh, our good friend Darrell Scott, and a tune that you'll find on his new CD project, Modern Hymns, where he pays tribute to so many great poets, people that he's admired for a long time. And have you ever met Paul Simon?
I have never met Paul Simon, but oddly enough, about 2 weeks ago, he sent an email to me because
Really?
he'd heard this song and heard my version. And it was a thrill. I mean, here's an email from Paul Simon, and he basically said, you know, I heard your version, and I like it a lot, and he said you found a fresh angle into the song. And so anyway, I just thought
That's cool.
That was really cool.
You didn't dump that and erase it, did you? You surely saved
No,
that.
I'm going to print it on like some kind of nice paper and put it up in my office.
And not too long ago, you got to go attend a concert and got to meet Gordon Lightfoot, another one of your heroes.
Yeah, last November. And he was just such a gracious guy. And we talked about guitar playing a little bit because a lot of people don't know it. He's not in a hot, flashy kind of way, but he came up with things, especially chords, that most folk singers still kind of don't even play. And they just, you hear it and it just goes by so easily. But it's like...
What's that E-modal?
The E-modal is this thing right here.
Yeah, that is.
It's that, so...
That's Gordon.
Yeah. And so we talked about E-modal, and I didn't know what he called it, but that's what he called it. And basically it's an E without a third, but it's a regular tune guitar, but it blocks out no thirds. So it could be a minor or a major, and you don't know. So, and he did things like that, just subtle little things that were in his guitar playing, but I was picking up on it, you know. And so I asked him about that, and he was very gracious, and it was a great show. and he's still out there doing it.
Oh man, do you want to do that, or do you want to do something else, or do you want to?
Let's do something else. You got something, Dad? Yeah, you do. You got something on the.
He's.
Grab.
Come on, Wayne.
I got Sunday with my son, or This Weary Way.
Let's do Sunday with my son.
Oh yeah, that's
This
perfect.
is the guy that he works with. That seems to be his favorite, and it's one of mine. She got away with one of the sons, or she got to raise one, and I got to raise 4. That's a long story, but anyway, I got to have him for 3 hours one Sunday afternoon. So we decided, or I decided, because I basically lived in the hills like I do back here, you know. We went and picked autumn leaves and pine cones, things like that. So this song started coming over me, watching him, and he was so full of fire and all that. Anyway, I jotted it down. I kept my back to him a lot of the times, not see his old man a crying, you know.
Darn.
But anyway, the next morning, it come on when I was doing breakfast or something in the kitchen, and just it come on like whiskey eases the pain, just as fast as you could write it. Well, I wrote it. But anyway, Your Sunday's my son. I believe I better do it in G.
Okay.
And I can't get up there where I'm supposed to. This will get it. As I look back on some bitter years, some things don't mean a thing. Like chasing women, writing songs, riding trucks and old freight trains. When I reach back for happy thoughts of things that I have done, one thing that I remember most was a Sunday with my son. From the mouths of little children comes truth and honesty. This I kept remembering as I gathered autumn leaves. When memory feeds upon the past of things that I have done, one thing that I remember most was a Sunday with my son. I'd fill his heart with happiness the way that he fills mine. But you just can't make up 10 lost years, just 3 hours time. Reflections calls for happy thoughts. When it does, well, I've got one. One thing that I remember most was a Sunday with my son. From the mouths of little children comes truth and honesty. This I kept remembering as I gathered autumn leaves. When memory feeds upon the past of things that I have done, one thing that I remember most was a Sunday with my son. When memory feeds upon the past of things that I have done, one thing that I remember most was a Sunday with my son. Sunday with my son, Sunday with my son. Thank you a bunch.
Wayne, I got a little misty-eyed with that one there. That's a awfully pretty song.
That would ring a lot of bells for the way we divorced and split up, and there's a touchy spot or two in there.
What a treasure that you've written your life down like this, and your son Darrell, saw the wisdom in it and decided he didn't like manual labor too much and decided to be a
Fit right in,
singer-songwriter. You done good, Wayne. You done real good. His CD is This Weary Way, and let's play one more quick one.
Okay.
While we have time. And
absolutely. This is one called the Hummingbird.
Oh, good.
And it's about a guitar that my dad had as a kid. You'll notice he's got a Hummingbird now. You can't see it in Radio Land, but he's got a nice
for this
Gibson.
too.
I think it's 66. It's beautiful. The nicest Hummingbird I ever saw. Anyway, I got it for him a few years ago, and after you hear this song, you might know why. And this is the first thing I learned on guitar, was this, what I start the song with. Farm boy from Kentucky hills learned to play guitar for his back porch thrills. Lean a ladder back chair on a windowsill and look out at the stars. He must have got it up in Michigan. He and his brothers were picking then. When he moved to Gary, he took it with him, that Gibson Hummingbird guitar. And oh, how that guitar would ring. Dad would close his eyes and sing. Silver-haired Daddy would always bring a tear to his eye. I was all of 5 years old with my brother Don and a kid down the road. We just did what we was told to get outside and play. Someone wrapped it in a coat and we took it to the swamp just to see if it'd float. But a hummingbird is not a boat, and it sank straight away. When he got home, that's when he heard what we'd done to that hummingbird. And he looked at me and never said a word, just went out back to sea. And there it was in all its mess, with the cattails and the red-winged nests. And there I laid it down to rest for all eternity. One of these days, you know what I'll do? Get a hummingbird guitar and a brother or two. And underneath a Kentucky moon, give him back his childhood dream. It won't make up for 32 years, and it won't dry up a swamp of tears. But hey, it's better than a case of beer and a fifth of Jim Beam.
I love that ending.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, fellas. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dave. It's been a good morning, man.
What a special, special session. Darrell Scott and his father, Wayne Scott. Wayne, you're going to have to come back around again soon.
It'll have to be pretty soon. I see if I make it till March, I'll be 75.
congratulations and happy
Yeah, I
birthday.
didn't know pickers lived this long.
Some of them don't. But Wayne and Darrell will be at the Songwriters Workshop this afternoon at 4 in Bristol, and Darrell will be playing on the State Street stage tonight at 9:30 at Rhythm and Roots. Support for Studio One is provided by Ed Hill at HVAC Incorporated, providing services to commercial, industrial, and residential clients. Plumbing, heating and air, electrical, duct cleaning, building automation, controls, and indoor air quality. HVAC 423-989-5000 or online at hvacbristol.com. Stay tuned for E-Town next on this public radio station.